What is my point? My point is speaking to most people is fucking unbearable. Like, as you're listening to the things that they're saying, all you hear is, hmm, well, it's fine for now. Um, there's no reason to change it. If it works, don't fix it. Uh, well, but this worked for me. How should why should I change it? Or it's like, I'm fine now. Everything is okay. Uh, this is making me feel happy. What's the point of uh, overthinking it? What's the point of worrying about it? Meh, meh, meh. And to me, this just shows a complete ignorance of the reality they live in. Because the environment and the situation that we exist in is not constant. It's always moving in some direction. Uh, for example, as time passes, you're gonna get older, and over time, your body's gonna degrade, and you're gonna fucking die. So your time is limited, and the way time applies onto your body is it accelerates its aging process, and that applies to basically everything in the world. For example, if you're learning something and you apply time onto that, then over time, you're gonna accumulate knowledge and you're gonna become smarter and you're gonna be able to do things you couldn't before, right? So time is it amplifies whatever action you're doing in the current moment. And if you are in a position where you're content with what you have and you're just getting by, and let's say it took you some effort to get there. For example, I don't know, let's say I need to pay rent, and I go to work for uh 1 month to get money to pay rent for 3 months or something like that, right? And I'm like, ha, I have money to pay rent. I don't need to work anymore. Apply that mentality for 3 months, and after the 3 months, you don't have any money anymore, and then you need to go find work to pay rent again. And but then once you've worked for a month again, and then you're like, oh, I have money. Why do I need to work? And then you go and leave your work. It's always going to catch up to you if it's a naturally degrading thing. So that is true for most things in this planet. For example, your relationships with people are under a constant decline. If you uh, don't speak to someone for a long time, they're gonna think about you less. They're gonna uh, care about you less. Your relation is gonna decline, and to maintain the relationship with them, you need to be present. You need to be there. You need to talk to them. You need to do things to maintain that relationship. Otherwise, it will naturally decline. Um, so now that we know things decline naturally, that the thing that annoys me the most when I look at people from the side is most of them seem to have the mentality that of living in the present moment, and if something is fine right now, but it will then you just assume that it won't decline in the future, which is extremely naive in my opinion, uh, or complacent. It doesn't happen. It doesn't work that way. Things naturally decline. Things naturally degrade, and if you don't maintain them, you will lose them. For example, uh, when when you were at school or whatever, you probably learned some math or English, or you learned some skills. Try to recreate those skills if you haven't been in education, if you haven't used them. Try to use them. Uh, they're degraded. um, unless you've been maintaining them. So the problem with people is that they're naive in a sense of they're like, oh, I'm here and I'm safe here. Let's say this is a platform and it's like naturally, water's naturally rising, just at a constant rate. And it's like, oh, I'm fine. I'm fine here. I don't need to do anything. And then water rises here, and then your life is in danger, and you're like, fuck, I need to go. Boom, I go here. And then you're like, oh, I'm in safety. I don't need to do anything. Uh, I'm not in danger. Haha, very nice for me. Limited perspective. And then water rises to you again, and then you're like, oh, what do I do now? And then whatever. So the point is, water's gonna rise to you anyway, and most people, instead of getting momentum and just living their life in a progressive way, where they're um, tackling the issues proactively or aggressively. So without waiting for shit to go really bad and basically force you to do it. Um, you basically end up doing the same volume of work, except for you don't end up getting wet in the process. Because most people need like a wake up call before they go into action. And to me, this just screams complacency. It's like the guy who gets a homework for 3 weeks, and uh, the only thing that will get him to do that homework is when it's like 1 hour before the deadline. And in that short period of time, he's going to be under extreme stress. He's going to be uh, trying to force himself to do it, and maybe he'll get adrenaline and he'll get a productivity boost, but he won't be able to. He might not be able to finish it, and he might suffer. And with some things in life, like you don't pay rent in time, you're homeless. Uh, or like the stress could have been completely avoided, and that stress can be completely um it doesn't add any real benefit to your life. So people generally cope about their situation and think they're very like fine, and they think, oh, it is what it is. I'm happy now. Everything is okay. But in reality, yeah, you are fine now. I'm not arguing about this, but shit will catch up to you if you don't improve and you don't get better. Um, and when it catches up to you, it might be too late, or you might be incapable of dealing with it, and you might end up getting caught by it. And when you get caught by it, it is significantly harder to make it out of that situation. Imagine you've gone homeless and you're trying to find a job. You don't have an address to sign to. Um, you look like a hobo. You probably haven't eaten as much. You probably smell like fucking alcohol because you needed to drink it to not fucking die because it's so cold on the street or some shit. I don't know. Um, whatever you hobos do. Um, and at that in that state, who the fuck is gonna hire you? Who the fuck is going to hire you? Nobody. Compared to yourself, if you weren't a hobo and you had a address and you had been eating and you had been taking care of your health, then you might be actually a useful employee to someone. And in that situation, the amount of effort you're gonna need to find a job as a hobo or as a normal person is completely different magnitudes. So, um, the kind of examples where I see this day to day is, let's say I'm trying to explain something to someone, and I'm trying to explain how a certain behavior they're doing is inherently destructive, and how over time it will uh, catch up to them and break them. Majority of people just seem to dismiss it like it's nothing. Like I'm talking about like Alice in Wonderland. They think they're special or some shit. They think like, oh yeah, yeah, that's not gonna happen to me. I'm not gonna be a hobo. Like I don't know. I'll just find a way. And they have too much trust in this. Uh, it's very frustrating to interact with people like this because you can't really get through to them because they're not distressed. And when you're not distressed, then you don't have any reason to change. And the reason they're not distressed is because they have extremely limited perspective or awareness of the reality that they exist in. They think it's because they're fine right now, that means they're going to be fine in the future. That's absolutely not true. Um, I'll give an example with houses. So let's say waves go in cycles where the sea level rises um, over a period of many years, let's say a decade, 10 years, um, and then it drains again or something, right? It goes in cycles. So there's going to be periods where it's high and there's going to be periods where it's low. And you're thinking of building a house and you're like, well, this place is clear here today. This place is closer to the beach than here. So I'm just gonna build a house like right at the beach because why not? You know, it's fine here. And then you'll tell this person like, yeah, but the sea level is gonna rise and you're gonna be fucked. And they're like, no, 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 it won't happen. Like, it's okay. It's okay. It's fine. And then the sea level starts rising, and then they're like, no, no, I think it will go back. They go to insane mental gymnastics. They're like, no, they'll outright deny reality. They'll they'll argue things like, yeah, but there was this one situation once in a million years. The sea level doesn't actually rise, and uh, I think I'm correct, and I'm gonna be okay. I believe at least. And since it hasn't risen, I'm fine. And they'll find whatever logical argument, or try to find a logical argument to justify their initial position. They're not really open to uh, the idea that they might be fucked. Uh, and then their basement is gonna start getting like a little bit wet. Like not fully, but they're gonna start dipping their toes in the water a little bit. They're gonna open their door and their like front yard is gonna be a fucking pool, the sea, right? And they're gonna be like, yeah, I might be fucked. And then at that point, they will start to panic or whatever. Uh, and when their house floods, they're gonna play extremely like victim. They're gonna be like, "Oh my God, I can't believe this happened. How could this happen to me? I spent so much time building this house. I did all this for so many years. I spent all my savings on this." And then the problem with you fucking retards is you all give them sympathy, like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. How could this happen to you, my love, my dear?" But in reality, like, what sympathy does this deserve? Uh, you were ignorant to the reality that the sea level will fucking rise, and then that reality has caught up to you. And when that happens, you play victim as if you couldn't have affected that circumstance. You absolutely could have if you were more intelligent. If you weren't ignorant, you probably wouldn't have built your house there. If you didn't just dismiss the possibility and think that you're special, you probably wouldn't have put yourself in this position in the first place. Um, and by people like offering sympathy, in my opinion, it enables this behavior, and it's absolutely disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting. Like, I hope you fucking drown if that's what you do with your life. Like, I honestly think if justice existed, then that's the only form of justice that exists. It's just reality. Um, but yeah, these people cry, and then the sea level washes away their house, and then it goes back down again, and then they're like, the they had to get rescued or whatever. They're sitting there crying on the beach, and then for a couple of years they're recovering, recuperating um, from the trauma, and once they've recovered, they're in a position to make a decision. Where do I build a house again? Hmm. And then these fucking retards, I swear to God, the 99% of the time, go back and build it in the same spot. 99% of the time. And they're like, this time will be different. What do you mean? How? And then you tell them, like, don't do this. This is gonna turn out bad. You're gonna drown. Like, your house is gonna fucking be flooded again. And guess what? The sea level begins to rise a little by little. And they're like, no, no, it's not gonna rise. It's not gonna go to the same way it was last time. I'm sure this time. And then the sea floods their house again. What the fuck? How do you exist like this? I don't understand. But this is the reality of like 99.99% of people. Like all of people I've interacted with on some level uh act on this way. They don't come to conclusions and they are not aware of trends that occur, and they have this wishful thinking that this time will be different, or because I am me, it will be different. It's like this is the same shit with the guys that are like, I can fix her. No, you can't. There's probably 99 other fucking retards that tried to fix her, and all of them ended up being fucking unsuccessful. Do you think you're gonna be the one to finally break through to her and be her knight in shining armor? No, you're fucking not. Like you're most okay. I will accept the position. There are some people that uh, are able to do the things that are defy patterns. But that is a very small minority of people, and 99% of the time, you're not that guy. Sorry. You're not that guy. You need to be exceptional to defy patterns of the majority. So, for example, again, with this house on the beach, right? There might be some guy who's a genius, genius engineer or architect, and he will build some flood-proof, uh, like home defense system, right? He will build this, and then all the fucking normies, all the fucking retards will look at this and be like, "See, his house has been standing for 20 years. His house didn't flood. His house is safe. Well, I could do the same." And then they try to do it, except for they don't build the fucking thing that's preventing their house from flooding, right? They build their house in the same spot, and then when the flood comes, then only their house gets flooded. And this guy's doesn't. How could this happen? I wonder why. It's because he built a fucking flood defense mechanism. Um, the real life equivalent is vast majority of people uh are not able to um change other people. To do that, you need to be extremely intelligent. You need to be extremely aware. You need to be extremely proficient in a lot of skills. You need to have a high degree of influence. Most of you don't have this, so why do you expect to fucking have those types of results? You won't. You will never. Um, and if you want to have those kinds of results, you need to attain those special things. Again, you can't attain those by being complacent. You can only attain those things by being extremely vigilant. For example, you want to be an athlete, right? Um, 99% of the people that become athletes or try to become athletes fail. Why? Because it's competitive. In its inherent nature, one in a fucking million will succeed. Just because it's competition. That's just how the game plays. And most people think just as they give it their all and I don't know, practice for the amount of time they're supposed to practice, and they just keep grinding, they might get there. But in reality, that's not true. That's absolutely not true. Because there's out of a million, there's probably almost a million of you that are doing the same shit. So why are you special? You need some sort of form of an edge. For example, in basketball, if you're like fucking, I don't know, 10 meters taller than everyone else, that's your edge. You're born with that edge. And vast majority of athletes are actually fucking retarded. They are either born with their edge or they end up um, inheriting their edge in some way, like whether it was their upbringing or some other like random um, combination of traits and behaviors that they have adopted, or they got a really good trainer. But vast majority of people uh, get there completely randomly, but they're outliers and they're not to be studied because if you copy someone who's a fluke and their method works, let's say they had the same method as you, they're like, oh, I'm gonna just train and then I'm gonna go professional in this, and then theirs worked, except for there was also like 900,000 other people that did exactly the same thing and it failed, then your chances of it working is like one in a fucking million or some shit. So, and copying that strategy is gonna yield a return rate of one in a million. So, even listening to advice from people that got the result as a fluke is completely pointless. If you copy a strategy that works one in a million times, your success rate is going to be one in a million, which is not good enough for a vast majority of people to dedicate their life into. So you need to develop um, exceptional ability in something to create an edge. Um, if, unless you're extremely talented and you were born with it, which most of you are not inherently. One in a million of you will have this, and you will just get everything that you want straight away. And you just need to work harder. Good for you. But everyone else needs to change something to even be able to level the playing field to compete with those people. And that is a lot of work. That is a lot of reflection. That is a lot of developing of new skills and capabilities. Most of you do not have an edge and you do not have any capabilities. Therefore, you will drown. You will get flooded when the flood comes over. You're not special. Nobody is special. It's just some people have the protective barrier and some don't. It doesn't matter how you got the protective barrier. If you don't have it, you're still gonna flood. If you have it, you're not gonna flood. Even if you didn't know it was there, you might have gotten lucky, you're still not gonna flood. So if you don't have a protective barrier, fucking build it. And it's your fault if you flood because you're ignorant. And so to summarize, the point I'm trying to make is most people are complacent and ignorant, and it's very frustrating to talk to them because they refuse to acknowledge that things are going to get harder or going to get worse. And they do that out of laziness or short-sightedness. Like they just want it to be true, so they hope it's true. And because of that, they pay the price. And you can't really help people like that. Like they're the types of people that will come to your help in the last minute and it's like, what do I do? How do I get out of here? How do I get out of this situation? Bro, like, I've told you how to not even get into this situation. but you thought you were special. Like, it's probably already too late to do something about it. Now it's all just about cutting costs, all about mitigating risks so you can recover faster.